Serious, NSFW, what's something that a friend/classmate did in high school that was seen as funny at the time, but you now realize was actually not okay? Diabetic classmate using his stabby blood glucose monitor on everyone's leg with the same blade for everyone. As an adult, I realize why the teacher school hit the ducking roof. Edit. The amount of people asking why it's bad the same needle is being used, entering the bloodstream of dozens of students, one of which may could have had a dangerous and transmittable disease or virus. All needle sharps are one use only, don't share. As a diabetic, that person's duct. You learn early on not to do that. Two diabetic people in this thread going, we get taught don't share needles, but how about don't stab people? Lol. Shit, you are not even supposed to share needles with yourself. You're supposed to change that shit out every time. Edit, nobody really ever changes them that often, but if you check the instructions for some BGMS it will tell you to change every time. That said, it's been 20 plus years with T1D, so I don't really gaff at this point, but still. Thigh stabber guy is a real prick. Guys in my year went through a phase of brutally wedgieing each other with the aim to fully rip the underwear off. Once guys' ripped boxers got pinned on the notice board complete with skid marks and bloodstains. Seemed hilarious at the time, but I die inside a little at the memory. Bloodstains, that is not good. Getting a wedgie with the intent of ripping them off easily has the potential to break skin. Reading all of these responses makes this quote I've heard resonate better. I have a lot of respect for junior high and high school teachers, because they're dealing with some of the dumbest mother duckers on the planet. Not only dumbest, but meanest. They're old enough to understand how to hurt you but not mature enough to care. Or old enough to receive real consequences. Some of the things I've read on this post would totally be a felony if an adult did it. In the 5th grade, we had a random urinal and sink shitter. This kid would shit in the sinks and urinals in a couple of the boys' bathrooms for a few weeks. It got so bad that the staff teachers had to take kids in groups at pre-designated times to go use the bathrooms, while they waited outside. The kid was in my class, and got caught, because he was in my class and decided to shit in a urinal while in this group setting. He laughed hysterically the whole time, and thought we would all think it was funny. I mean, we did think it was funny, but it was annoying we had to go in groups. He got suspended for a bit because of that, and then those incidents never happened again. Senior year of high school, we had a guy who trashed all of the boys' bathrooms. Thousands of dollars in damage. Everyone knew who it was, but they couldn't pin it on him. Instead, they just locked every boys' bathroom except the one next to the office. Most people couldn't use the bathroom more than once a day because of that dick. One of my classmates jammed his thumb up another student's butthole in 3rd grade. Happened at my school too. Except it was 7th grade and it was the wrestling coach doing it to a student. They were in a deadlock and the coach poked him in the butt to get him to react and used that opportunity to pin the kid. And we all laughed. Oil check. It's a questionable move now in wrestling. We had a kid that would say just really messed up stuff. Well, one day he said old enough to pee old enough for me and we all laughed like bro that's gross WTF lol. Well, fast forward about 8 months after graduation and boom, arrested for child porn. Yikes, that's ducked up. I knew plenty of guys, and even some girls, that would say fucked up edgy shit like that as a kid. I was guilty too. I don't think it usually translated into behavior like that as everyone matured, but looking back it's still fucked up how clueless we were as kids. Harassing and mocking the teachers. One of them even got a nervous breakdown because of it and was on sick leave for half a year. I feel every school has that one teacher that every year group just collectively decides to bully. In hindsight it was terrible, they were just doing their jobs, but teenagers are little duckin' sociopaths. Oddly, I also saw things go the opposite way. My high school has a recurring temp nicknamed Aunt B. I'm not sure how that started, she didn't look or sound anything like the character. In any case, she just wasn't all there. Most of the time, she looked like she didn't know where she was. I guess she had some sort of early stage dementia, or had always been like this. The weird thing is that even the usually obnoxious students were quite gentle with her. They'd act up like lunatics most of the time, but gave her a break. I never once saw or heard of anyone acting up when she was their sub. I worked at an alternative high school with a legally blind teacher. She was the sweetest woman and a smart, dedicated and energetic teacher, but would have been an absurdly easy teacher to bully. The kids, all of whom had been expelled from home districts and mostly for some heinous shit, were really nice to her. We had a ghost pit in our school, which was a pit in the ground with steps leading down, that had no clear function. So the culture in the school would be to grasp someone's backsack and throw it down the pit. Once the kid went to get the bag, someone would shout "Ghost pit." Everyone would run over and spit on the kid continuously until he managed to get up the stairs. I remember even teachers laughing at this. 90s were a strange time. Almost all the harmless fun I can remember from my school is actually horrific. First of all, yuck. Second of all, depending on the age of the building, this could likely have been a smoke pit, where teachers and students alike were permitted to smoke. My middle school that used to be a high school had one. I had a teacher, our class tutor, who was lovely, but she was tired of several of our classmates acting like little shits. One day, during our home tutor class with her, several of them just kept messing about, picking on her and full-on blanking her when she spoke to them, acting as if she wasn't there. They found it hilarious. Me and my friends were quite close with her, so we stayed after that class and asked if she was okay. She looked at us and just started crying, saying how she's so tired of it, and how they make her not enjoy teaching anymore, and she'd been teaching over 20 years. The next day we actually told the class about it, and their faces dropped. I think for once they realized how far they had pushed her. I felt so bad for her. Was it a bad result or good result telling the class about that? She either got hounded after that or it helped. It helped. I think they realized what they said actually had an impact on her. It was horrible to see her just break down. She had only recently recovered from meningitis too, so she wasn't in good health either. Wow, at least they realized how ducked it was. My school was full of straight up psychopaths. A kid announced to all the other students that a particular teacher had titty cancer, saying it in a funny and mocking tone, and everyone laughed and laughed because the kid said titty and they were regarded as the funny kid at school. We only realized it was bad when the teacher heard it and broke down crying. We didn't realize we were making fun of her dying. I still carry second-hand guilt about that one. Edit to clarify, since some of you can't handle my use of second-hand guilt. I didn't join in with the other students because I thought it was wrong to make fun of someone, but I was also stupid and didn't connect their making fun of her to her potential demise, so I didn't stand up to the other students. I have second-hand guilt because I wish I had been more emotionally mature to understand what was happening and emotionally fortified to stand up for that teacher. That reminds me of the South Park episode where Eric wouldn't stop calling breast cancer titty cancer and got the shit beat out of him during recess for it. How much you want to bet that kid was copying that episode? Dry humping each other in public was peak comedy at 15. My maths class once made a teacher cry and quit. She couldn't speak English that well as she was from Poland. It got to the point where classmates hid her bag and hid items from the bag. One day she had a nervous breakdown and we never saw her again. It's only now you realize that something like that just isn't on at all. Pretty disgusting behavior TBH. Had a classmate that used to steal this one kid's clothes during gym and replace it with something else. It started out with stupid t-shirt but grew to girls' clothes like dresses and panties. Eventually it was bad and had leave him like a really short skirt, sometimes a diaper and baby stuff. Everyone thought it was funny but it was really terrible. I think one of the more messed up things was the teachers were almost in on it. Like they wouldn't do anything about it, just lean into it. That pisses me off the most. Kids are stupid can account for about 10% of why the kid would do that, but teachers leaning into it or even just allowing it? Therese, no excuse for that. I'm a little bit older than the general Reddit population. Old school teachers were pretty ruthless for no reason. It was almost like they saw bullying as a rite of passage, as ducked up as it is. So they essentially joined in. I had a guy tell me that when he was in school, coaches would tell their squads, football, baseball, basketball or soccer, to rough up some kid that wasn't fitting in. Basically like it was a sanctioned activity for social corrections. This anecdotal story makes it seem like some bullying was school-sponsored in some cases. I don't know, it is much better, just teachers and admin don't want to be known to be in on it.